She boarded the flight quietly, no cameras, no entourage, just the calm presence of a woman used to power. Minutes later, an entitled passenger stepped up, pointed at her, and demanded she move. "You don't belong here," the woman sneered, waving her ticket like a weapon. The cabin fell silent as whispers spread and phones began recording. What no one on that flight knew was this. The black woman she had just humiliated was Dr. Amamira Lawson, the billionaire CEO who built the very airline she was flying on. The boarding gate buzzed with chatter, business suits, and entitlement. At the heart of it all sat Dr. Amamira Lawson, founder and CEO of Airline Air. Reviewing quiet notes on her tablet, no one recognized her, which was exactly what she wanted. Every few months, she boarded one of her own flights without the uniform of wealth to see how her passengers were treated when titles didn't protect them. Flight 227 to Geneva was boarding. First class, 12 seats, a perfect setting for truth to show itself. Amamira walked down the jet bridge, calm and poised. As she placed her bag in the overhead compartment, a voice sliced through the air, sharp, entitled, deliberate. "Excuse me? That's my seat." Amamira looked up. A woman stood before her, mid-40s. Posture full of practiced authority, Charlotte Reed, senior consultant for a global logistics firm, and by coincidence, one of Aurelian's newest corporate partners. Amamira smiled. "I believe this is seat 2A. Charlotte tilted her head, smirking. "No, sweetheart, that's my seat. I've flown this route for years. You must have wandered into the wrong cabin." The passengers nearby turned, eager for conflict. Amamira held up her boarding pass, 2A confirmed. Charlotte's laugh carried down the aisle. "Sure it does. Let me see that fake ticket." The word fake hung in the air like smoke. A flight attendant approached. "Nervous, ma'am? Everything all right?" Charlotte gestured dismissively. "Handle this. She's obviously not supposed to be here." Amamira remained composed. "Please check your manifest," the attendant, Holly, scanned the screen on her device and froze. "Seat 2A is indeed reserved for Dr. Amamira Lawson." Charlotte blinked. "Lawson, don't lie to me." "I know all our clients." Holly hesitated. Glancing at Amamira with uncertainty, Charlotte snatched the device from her hands, reading the manifest herself, and then sneered. "This is ridiculous. Someone must have made a booking error. I have a first-class membership." "You also have a seat," Amamira said softly. "But it isn't mine." The tone was polite but final. Charlotte's face flushed. "Don't take that tone with me. I pay more in taxes than you'll make in a lifetime." Phones started recording. A businessman whispered, "This is going viral." Charlotte leaned in, listened carefully. "I will have you escorted back to economy before the seatbelt sign turns off." Amamira met her gaze. "Try it." That single word froze Charlotte mid-breath. Moments later, the captain's voice echoed through the cabin. "Crew, prepare for departure." Charlotte reluctantly sat in 2B beside Amira, fuming, clutching her champagne glass like a weapon. 20 minutes into the flight, she couldn't resist another jab. "You know, first class is about etiquette. It's not just a seat you can buy with points." Amamira looked out the window. "You're right, it's about behavior," Charlotte scoffed. "Spoken like someone pretending to belong," the attendant Holly whispered from the galley. "Dr. Lawson, are you sure you don't want me to?" Amamira smiled. "Let her finish. I'm curious how far arrogance flies before it runs out of altitude." Charlotte overheard and snapped. "You're not funny." "No," Amamira said quietly. "But you are." By the time the plane reached cruising altitude, Charlotte was seething. She pressed the call button again. "Captain, I need to speak to your supervisor. This woman is harassing me." The cockpit door opened and the captain stepped out. When he saw Amira, his expression changed instantly. "Dr. Lawson, I had no idea you were flying with us today." The cabin gasped. Charlotte's smugness evaporated. You know her?" she stammered. The captain nodded, straightening. "She's the reason this airline exists." Charlotte's glass slipped from her hand. Shattering on the floor, Amira finally turned to face her fully. "I'm glad you're comfortable speaking your mind, Ms. Reed. It saves me the trouble of pretending not to hear it." The captain lowered his voice. "Dr. Lawson, would you like me to?" "No," Amamira interrupted calmly. "I'll handle this at the destination. But I do want a written report from the entire crew before landing." Charlotte tried to recover, mumbling. "This is just a misunderstanding." Amamira stood. "The misunderstanding is thinking arrogance equals authority. I built this airline to treat people with dignity. You've reminded me why it still needs work." The entire cabin was silent by the time the flight landed. Social media was flooded with clips. "Passenger humiliates CEO gets exposed mid-air." The headlines spread faster than the jet that carried them. The next morning at Airline Air's executive board meeting, Charlotte sat trembling beside her new employer, Gregory Blackwell, a board member who had been scheming to replace Amamira for months. Amamira entered the room without a word. Her eyes scanned the table, calm, surgical, merciless. I saw the footage, Gregory began. Unfortunate situation, but perhaps a learning experience for everyone. Amira sat down, her phone, and tapped the screen. The video played, Charlotte's sneer, the slap of arrogance, the captain's voice saying her name. When it ended, Amira said, "Unfortunate. It's sabotage. She's your consultant hired to evaluate diversity performance. Instead, she assaulted my integrity midair." Gregory's voice cracked. "You can't prove." "I already have," Amira said. "And the shareholders know." She pressed another button. The conference screens lit up with live feeds. Financial analysts, investors, journalists. "This," she continued, "is our emergency broadcast, effective immediately. Gregory Blackwell is removed from the board for unethical conduct and breach of fiduciary trust. Ms. Reed's firm's contract is terminated." Charlotte whispered, "You can't do this." Amira looked her dead in the eye. "I already did." The investors applauded. Cameras flashed. The story broke within minutes. As Amira left the room, Charlotte's face went pale, matching the headline that followed. "Woman who humiliated airline CEO loses everything in 24 hours. Later that night, Amira stood at the terminal window watching one of her planes ascend into the clouds. Quiet, graceful, unstoppable. Her assistant asked softly, "Should I release a statement?" Amira smiled. "No need." The flight itself said enough, and as the engines roared across the sky, the world finally understood what real power looks like. It doesn't scream. It ascends,